Leader of the Opposition doing, Mr. Speaker?
What am I doing? I'm standing in the House of Carney. Where's Waldo, Mr. Speaker? He's hiding. We know he's in the House of... We know that he's in Ottawa today. We know that he's in the...
If the Conservatives want the truth, we'll tell them the truth.
Yesterday from the Prime Minister really freaked these Conservatives out because they saw the ambition in that speech. And not only did they see it in that speech today, as the Prime Minister stood with the
Speaker, we will take no lessons from these Conservatives. Trust me on that.
Future, they know that the youth...
The only thing that's revolting are those answers.
It is too bad that that minister didn't write the Prime Minister's speech yesterday, because it wouldn't have bored and depressed to tears all of those poor students stuck in that room. There he spoke about how they would have to sacrifice more and that it would take time to reverse all of the misery that has built up over the last 10 years. Mr. Speaker, young people want to have homes. They want to have jobs. They want to have hope. They want a budget that is affordable so they can have a life that is affordable. Will the Prime Minister introduce that budget so that Canadians can restore the promise of their country?
And we decide what comes next.
Canada know that this government has their back. It will continue. There's going to be a powerful statement for the young people of Canada.
Driving inflation. The more Liberals spend, the more it costs Canadians at the grocery store. 25% of Canadians are using food banks because they can't afford to eat. So when will the Prime Minister finally get his inflationary deficits under control so Canadians can put food on the table?
Mr. Speaker, Conservative members pretend to care about food insecurity, but then they call feeding children garbage.
Mr. Speaker, what's garbage was that answer?
Did the Prime Minister see the ad before it went out?
Of course there are too many people living in poverty in Canada, but there are significant initiatives being put in place by this government.
Being serious means being honest and telling Canadians.
Canada's economy is in fact growing, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, do you want the good news or the bad news? Well, in these times, I guess we'll have to start with the good news. It's all we've got. The good news is that David Eby, the Premier of BC, has absolutely no constitutional authority to block a pipeline. The bad news is that this Prime Minister does. Under Section 9210A of the British North American Act, works between provinces are exclusively the federal government's responsibility. So will the Prime Minister stop hiding behind the powerless Premier, get out of the way, and approve a pipeline to the Pacific today?
I'd invite the member opposite to buy a ticket to Calgary tomorrow to see how a federal government works with the provincial government.
Tomorrow, the Prime Minister will wave around in the air a worthless piece of paper that he says that the Premier of BC can veto any time he wants. Here's the political problem he has. Canadians want a pipeline. They know it's the best way to get our resources to market going around the United States of America, but his Keep It in the Ground caucus is standing in the way. Why doesn't he stand up to them and stand up for Canada?
Maybe the member opposite should explain to his constituents why the Premier of Alberta wants to stand beside our Prime Minister and talk about how to build Canada strong.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister claimed that he did not have the power to approve a pipeline. Well, too bad for him. The Constitution is public. 9210A says that it is exclusively a federal responsibility. He happens to be the Prime Minister, and he asked us to pass emergency legal powers in C5 to give him the personal authority to overturn any regulation in order to get the project done. In other words, this government has the exclusive power. He has the exclusive legal authority. Will he match that authority with responsibility and approve a pipeline to the Pacific today?
What this Prime Minister is doing is leading. He's leading on building national projects. He's leading on building port capacity. He's leading on making Canadian steel, lumber, aluminum, and various commodities more available for homes, for big projects, to put people, unionize people, men and women from every part of this country to work building our great country. That's what this Prime Minister is doing. He's leading. What is the Leader of the Opposition doing, Mr. Speaker?
What am I doing? I'm standing in the House of Commons.
Right. Where is he?
Where's Waldo, Mr. Speaker? He's hiding. We know he's in the House. We know that he's in Ottawa today. We know that he's in the.
I think
we're so close to the line there that we're actually stepping over it. So if the honourable opposition leader would continue, but maybe in a different vein.
Mr. Speaker, I think we're finding out that if you're not there, you don't care. Yesterday, the Prime Minister said, who cares that Canadian workers are losing their jobs because he broke his promise to get a deal? We care. Why doesn't he show up and prove he does too?
I'd invite the member opposite to buy a ticket and come to Calgary tomorrow and see who cares.
We've gone from elbows up to who cares under this Prime Minister. Remember, he said he would negotiate a win and he would get a deal by July 21st. Well, still no win, still no deal. He's made concession after concession. He backed down on counter tariffs, on the digital services tax, on the legal action against softwood lumber, and he got nothing in return. Well, one thing. Brookfield, his company, got $80 billion in contracts and signed by the president just 20 days after the two met. Is that what he meant when he said he would negotiate a win with Trump?